There are a lot of people who should be looking for work and applying for jobs. Why aren't they? Well, let's take a look. So this is something that I also read in a nifty article on Indeed's hiring lab, and I hadn't realized this, is that this recession was different. Last year's pandemic-driven recession was different in that the layoffs that occurred were structurally temporal. Like, a company would say, hey, we have to close the restaurant because we're not allowed to be open, but as soon as we open it up, we want you back. Versus a permanent layoff like we had in 2008, where companies were just going belly up, or they were cutting product lines or cutting manufacturing shifts. And so the government has a way of measuring that. They call it core unemployment, which excludes temporary layoffs. And what you can see here is that the recession that we just went through last year due to the pandemic impacted core unemployment a lot less. So that's one thing that is interesting, is people are kind of going back to the jobs that they came to. But the reality is that there's so many new jobs, 30% new jobs, and we still have people on the sidelines. Something isn't necessarily making sense. And this may start to explain some of it. So what you're seeing here is, this is data from what's called a Census Pulse survey. And the Census Pulse survey is something that is done every week, done by the Census Department. And it asks a whole bunch of questions to Americans. And it asks questions if they're unemployed, and specifically during the pandemic, why they aren't working. And then it's extrapolated out to the US population. And so what you see here is, so coronavirus, go to the second line, coronavirus related sickness and or care, children, has gone up a little bit, which is interesting, right? Back in September, it was still in the middle of the pandemic. We weren't in the hot zone that was in December and January, but it was not where we are today, where we've got 54% of the population vaccinated, and the number of infections are going down precipitously. So that's interesting, that there's still something going on with regards to people's desire to, or need to, take care of others as a result of coronavirus. Even though more and more schools went back to full-time instruction, even though the virus load is lower, data shows from the survey that there's a material, almost 1 million more people are opting out of the labor force because of that. At the same time, the number of people that opted out because they were concerned about getting sick has cratered. So it's down by 50%. And the people that lost their job due to the pandemic temporarily is down, way down. And then you also are finding that, and this is one that I hadn't expected, people that couldn't work because the transportation network got shut down, public transportation got shut down, is way down. So what we have here is, we've got a group that there's a whole bunch of categories where theoretically it is getting better. People are going back to work. They're less concerned about coronavirus. The transportation system is working. That should all be good for bringing workers back into the marketplace. But there's a few things that are offsetting it.